Hey Mama, today we are going to talk about something that I don't think I've really talked about a lot during pregnancy. I mean, I've mentioned several things on and off, but I don't think I've ever done a full episode on things that you shouldn't have or do during pregnancy. So we are going to talk about that today. This might be especially useful if you're a first-time mom or even if you're a coming back mom, because sometimes we forget and it's good to get a reminder, or sometimes we just didn't know. So here are some things for you on shouldn't haves for pregnancy. Hi, I'm Jocelyn, fellow mom of 5 and host of the Positivity in Pregnancy and Motherhood podcast. I help pregnant women and mothers to find the positivity in their season of life through changing their thoughts to work for them and not against them. I help mothers find the small, doable steps in thought and action without making drastic changes to their everyday mom life. And I can help you. Let's find positivity during our pregnancies and in our motherhood together. Thanks for joining. Okay, this is not an all-inclusive list. This isn't everything that you should not do during pregnancy. But this is a lot of things, common things to remember that are not wise for pregnancy. And I also want to caveat with, I am not a doctor, I'm not a midwife, I'm not a medical provider in any way, I'm not a mental health specialist. I am just speaking from what I have learned and also my own experience. So this is, take it for what you will, but I do think that knowing this and hearing it through or from other women and their experience is always so helpful. So I hope that I am of some help to you on this podcast, and we are going to jump in, and then at the end I will give you some mindset tips, because that's more usually what this podcast is about. It is about the mindset shifts we need to make during pregnancy so that it can be more positive and not such a heavy and negative experience. All right, some of the should not haves or do during pregnancy is drinking alcohol. This, the alcohol can cross the placenta and it can affect the fetus. It can also cause fetal alcohol syndrome, and it can cause a lot of different things with the baby, like physical abnormalities. It can the baby can have behavioral health problems, seizures, poor growth, developmental delays, all sorts of things can happen if you drink a lot of alcohol during pregnancy. So don't drink any alcohol during pregnancy. Take a break from alcohol during pregnancy. I personally don't drink alcohol, and I think if you just take a break from pregnancy, take a break from it the rest of your life. I am not for drinking alcohol, but if you do drink alcohol, do your best to take that off during pregnancy. There are also certain foods that you want to avoid. Now, everybody's list is going to be a little bit different here, so this is where you're going to have to use some discerning. Some people say that you're not supposed to have lunch meat or deli salads. I don't know if I agree with that. The one that I did agree with and that felt right with me was the fish high in mercury. So if the fish are high in mercury or even raw fish, I felt for myself not to eat raw fish or meat during pregnancy. That may feel right to you as well, and if it does, implement it and don't eat that fish during pregnancy. For me, I don't eat a lot of fish anyway, but just reminding myself that I was going to stay away from swordfish and shark and mackerel during pregnancy because it contains the high level of mercury. It's just something you implement. Now do your research and research other foods that whoever they is, suggest that you don't eat. Oftentimes they is actually referred to the CDC or your governmental run agencies that usually try and do some research on that. Nonetheless, you have your own intuition. And so the foods one is a little bit more up to you, but that is where I was at when it came to foods. The next one, which I probably should have mentioned after alcohol, is too much caffeine. And I am actually not a soda drinker either. I just cannot do bubbles. And so I just don't drink soda. But caffeine can also cross the placenta in a similar way that the alcohol can. And it can affect the baby as well. It does say, I'll give you the article that I pulled some of these from. It does say that the data is a little bit inconclusive, but it's still better to limit your intake of caffeine. And I also feel that it's good to limit your intake of caffeine all the time if you can. I'm not, like I mentioned, I'm not a soda drinker, or I don't drink or do anything with caffeine. It just is not something that I have ever wanted. I don't know. I guess it's just not something I've wanted to do, but also it has felt like an addiction, and I don't want that addiction to control me. So just avoiding it is one way to not have it control you. The next thing that is important is hot tubs, saunas, or overheating. While you're pregnant, sometimes it might sound really appealing to sit in a hot tub. It can ease discomforts, or in your mind you can feel that it would ease discomforts, especially all the weight. The water would make you feel a little weightless. But the hot tubs, and even one of my doctors that I had told me this, he said that it more or less can cook, not really cook, but he worded it better than that, but in my mind it was it can kind of cook your baby. If you sit there too long, it can cause the body temperature to raise too high and can cause problems later in pregnancy as well. It can lead to the congenital abnormalities. I did not sit in hot tubs, but I did love hot baths during pregnancy, and I actually specifically, this is one of the questions that I asked my doctor. So I would encourage you to keep a running list of questions for your doctor. So one of the questions I had one time was, is it okay to take a hot bath? And he said, yes, a hot bath is okay because it cools down. It doesn't constantly stay so hot that it does damage. So hot baths are okay, or at least for me, they felt okay. Maybe do your own research or lean towards your own intuition if baths are right for you or not. But for me, that was okay. The next one I'm going to kind of pair together, but they're contact sports or activities with a fall risk. Just because I don't know, to me that one's kind of common sense. It can increase your risk of placental abruption, which means the premature separation of the placenta from the uterine wall, and it is a severe condition. So if you jar yourself too much, it can cause preterm birth, pregnancy loss, or even stillbirth. So try and stay away from contact sports and risks of falling. I know that sometimes we still fall. In fact, during one of my pregnancies, I slipped and kind of fell through some pallet racking, and I didn't fall through, but my leg got caught, and it was a pretty good jar, and I was worried for a little bit. Gratefully, everything was okay, but if you have fallen and you feel like you need to go get checked out, do that. Go get into your doctor or your midwife and get checked out and make sure things are okay. But accidents happen. This is not an episode saying you shouldn't have an accident, because we can't always control that. Nonetheless, we can control if we're playing football or soccer or something that is very contact heavy and could do you or baby harm. I feel it's probably best to take a break, but all of this is up to you. Nonetheless, really good things to know. So another one to keep in mind is amusement parks. Sometimes they do not allow pregnant people on some rides, including some roller coasters or rides that may start and stop suddenly. And I think it's because of the jarring motion that can also cause the placental abruption, as was mentioned in with sports. So it can also, common sense, roller coasters make you sick. So if you're in the morning sick phase, it could amplify that. And who wants to do that? Not me. So maybe plan your trips around pregnancy a little bit if you can. Okay, this one is one I felt pretty strongly about, and that was changing a litter box. Pregnant women should avoid changing the litter box because it can put a person at risk for toxoplasmosis. So this is found in cat feces, and if the pregnant woman passes it to the fetus, the baby can develop symptoms such as eye infections, jaundice, swollen liver and spleen, seizures, feeding difficulties, low birth weight, swollen lymph nodes, or a rash or bruising. So it can lead to even bigger problems if it's not treated. So just let someone else change the cat litter while you are pregnant. And we don't have a cat at our house, but somehow we ended up with one at the shop, and she has a litter box there. So my kids or husband have to take care of that during pregnancy. So that is when I feel about you do your own research and figure out what is best for you. The next things to avoid during pregnancy are smoking and drugs. Stop smoking during pregnancy. This can also lead to premature birth, sudden infant death syndrome. There's a lot of things that can come with the drugs and the smoking. So do your best to put that down, seek out help, ask for help, and figure out ways to do that. I do not smoke. I've never smoked. That's another one that I feel if you can just not start, it's better, but nonetheless, sometimes it does happen, and we have to seek the help needed to help us to overcome some of these really hard things. Certain medications, do your research on this, because some of the medications for maybe even if you're on like an antidepressant or anti-anxiety or something like that, some of those can cause birth defects. So always check with your OBGYN or your midwives the prescriptions that you're taking, and do that early on. Another one that I want to mention is you shouldn't take like ibuprofen during pregnancy. Some of them are more safe to take, like Tylenol is known to be a little bit more safe, the acetaminophen, but it still is something that comes with a risk. Nonetheless, if you do feel like you have to take one or the other, take the Tylenol, not the ibuprofen. So take this for what it's worth and do your own research, but also remember you have your mother's intuition, your self-intuition. You know what's best for you. You know what's best for baby. Don't let your addictions control you, and you control them during pregnancy to make this pregnancy happy, to make this pregnancy more positive, and to make it more healthy. I want to leave you with a mindset tip today, and that is changing the negative to the positive. If you've listened to this podcast, I hope you've heard one of these little sayings, but changing the negative to the positive is a great way to live. So some of these things might seem negative. Like for you, it may be hard to stop smoking or to stop drinking, or it may be hard to avoid caffeine. It may be hard not to play sports or do jarring activities or go to theme parks. Those things might be really hard, and it can almost maybe seem like a negative in your mind, like, ugh, just another thing I can't do. So instead of dwelling on the negative things that you can't do, focus on the beautiful, positive things that you can do. You can go for a leisurely walk. You can enjoy healthy foods. You can still pet your cat. You just got to stay away from the cat litter. Do you know what I mean? Find positive shifts for these seemingly negative things. And maybe these things aren't really negative to you, but there is something negative going on in your mind about pregnancy. Find a way to either shift it to the positive, or to just even find a different positive thought altogether and get rid of that negative thought with the positive thought. Change the negative to the positive. I have made and created a lot of videos that come with a free audio download that you can get on my website, which is positivityinpregnancy.com. 3 of them are free, and they are my 3 favorites. I want you to try them out. I want you to use them. I want you to see me on video and to hear my voice encourage you that you can do this hard thing of pregnancy. You can get through this difficult season, and you can find positivity and joy during pregnancy, which at times really seems impossible. I know because I've been pregnant 5 times, and there are times where it has been so very hard. If I can find positivity in pregnancy, I know you can too, Mama. Check it out on my website. They're also linked in the show notes. I have other podcast episodes linked in the show notes, all of my social media stuff. And I hope that this encourages you in your pregnancy. We will chat again next time. Until next time. Thank you for being a part of the Positivity in Pregnancy and Motherhood podcast, for listening, for sharing, and most of all, for applying these tools into your own life to improve your own happiness so that you can find your own better thoughts and becoming the mother that you desire to be through taking small steps in thought and action to reach your goals. If you are a mother who has an inner desire to enjoy motherhood and pregnancy better, but you are having difficulty figuring it out, I can help you. Thanks for joining. Reach out, let's connect, and let's see you move forward in your motherhood. My name is Jocelyn, and I thank you for listening. Until next time.